It is time for our third quarter final match. Hansulinho taking on Sagee95. And yes, their hair may look the same, their facial hair a little bit different. Hansulinho, the beard, the intimidation, the poise as well. He's been here before. He knows what to expect.
All right, tell us in the chat who has better hair, Sage or Hansulinho. Ignore the beard. Let's just go with the hair. I don't know. It's close, but maybe Hansulinho has the edge. I don't know. What do you think, Nasher?
I mean,
Battle of the hair
it's
here.
hard not to. You can't ignore the beard, right?
I guess you got it. I mean, I don't know. Some people aren't beard fans.
Well, aside from the hair, who has the edge in this game? We know both are good players.
Here's the thing. I found it very interesting that Sage was actually a little bit self-depreciating in a way. Like, he was very happy to be here, but he was almost resigned to the fact that he might lose. Like, he was just very, I might surprise people, but if I lose, it's okay. Meanwhile, Hansulinho has a chip on his shoulder. He did not make the finals last year.
Well, let's see what happened in their first game of the series. Let's show you the highlights as they played just a short time ago. It is Hansulinho, the Sharks, coming off, no surprise, taking control in the second period with 4 goals. Now, in the third, Sage got one back. Not enough, though. Hansulinho naturally with a dominant 6-1 win, leading the series 1-0.
Yeah, this is all Hansulinho from the beginning. You knew he wanted to get on the board early, especially after going home early last year. He wanted to finish this thing fast, and of course, getting up 4-0 is a good way to do it. Winning this final one, 6-1.
Now, most people know Hansulinho from last year. Sagee95, however, from Loja, Finland, he finished 4th in the PS4 qualifiers. Favorite team, the Anaheim Ducks. Meet Sage.
My favorite team is Anaheim Ducks, and at this moment my favorite player is Ryan Getzlaf, and the way he plays is just so good, and he's the best captain I've ever seen. Qualifying to Vegas will be a big thing for me, and it will change my future for sure, and I will put big effort to this game in the future.
Well, he needs to put a big effort into Game 2. Down 1-0 in the series after a 6-1 opening game loss. Let's start the second game of the series between Hansulinho and Sagee95.
Here's what Sage had to say about Hansulinho. We asked every player to give a thought. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a certain player? And we said the name Hansulinho, and Sage said, barbarian.
Barbarian. That is fitting in many ways, both to his gameplay and his physical looks, of course.
Definitely. Meanwhile, Hansulinho said of Sage, he's a very kind person. They haven't played much. They're pretty much 50-50 when they play each other. But that first game would indicate anything but. Hansulinho certainly has a chip on his shoulder, however. I mentioned this before. He was very disappointed. He was sad. The word used was sad, watching the grand finals from home. He did not like that feeling. He was even more motivated to qualify again this year, as we know, one of the 3 to repeat qualification here in the European regional finals. And he's very, very proud of that, Nasher. As we get to game number 2, of course, Hansulinho won game number 1 by a score of 6-1. Sage in the Ducks uniforms, already a breakaway. And that will be your first goal right there. Hansulinho making a statement with Connor McDavid in game number 2.
You have got to be kidding me. What happened there? A 2-on-0 off the get-go. Looks like the speed of McDavid was a little bit too much. Him being a 97 speed rating, one of the fastest in the game, the fastest in this tournament by a margin of 4.
So let's talk about how much better Connor McDavid is from the rest of the pack. The only thing that has remained the same from every draft in Canada, in the USA, and here in Europe is that Connor McDavid went first overall. Why is Connor McDavid the best player in this game?
So Connor McDavid in this draft, 94 overall. His speed, 97. The next highest speed in this entire tournament, 93. So to have the first pick and have the chance to get Connor McDavid, he's going to be above and beyond faster than anyone in this tournament. And you're going to see Hansulinho obviously doing that, getting speed, going into the zone, and of course scoring his first goal.
Sage looking for the equalizer here with Weber at the point. Will dance into the hash marks. No surprise that Hansulinho's captain is McDavid. Backstrom and Carlson are his assistants. It would have been Brent Burns probably as his other assistant had Kriketsi not stolen Brent Burns from him in the pick before. He was going to pick Brent Burns, which is a funny story between them. Skating backwards towards the offensive zone is Sage. with the Ducks. A nice West Coast matchup here in the NHL GWC.
Another good point to mention, Sage, his favorite player you heard is Getzlaf. He decided to pick him first in the entire tournament. Debatably, not the best player up for grabs when he was up in his draft. He went with him anyways. He obviously went with the Ducks. He's a big fan, and I think that mentality, he just wanted his favorite player on his team. He thinks he can play better with him.
Sage has mentioned that he's only been to a few local tournaments, nothing like this of the magnitude of the GWC. He has no accolades to his name yet, but he is looking to change that here.
He was one win away from qualifying last year, so obviously the chance to get here, to make it here, he's excited for the chance. Again, we mentioned earlier, he is a bit too humble in the fact that he almost thought he was going to lose, but we'll see if he can fight back and win this one.
Looking for goal number 2 is Hansulinho. And when we asked all the other competitors about Hansulinho, experience and legendary status came up a lot. The fact that he is a multiple-time Finnish champion. Misses the net, does Sage. Kopitar still has it there. Hansulinho has an immense amount of respect from, at the very least, the Finnish community, but definitely from the Chell community as a whole.
Yeah, his talents in this game are unbelievable. He ended up buying an Xbox to qualify for this, went 100-0.
And scores his second goal right there.
Yep, talking about his record there. 100-0 in Xbox-ranked divisions, and that's the reason why. You can see he has a superstition. Every single goal, he grabs his towel, washes off his hands, gets ready to go for the next one.
Hockey player superstitious? No. That never happens. Come on. Sage is left thinking about what to do here. Will the game plan change? Will there be any lineup changes to the lines? Because something needs to happen here for him to get back into this game. Speaking of changes, Hansulinho, a big life change, got married in the past year from the last GWC to this one. We asked him how married life was, and Hansulinho said, married life is easy. Said no husband ever.
Not your typical answer. Hansulinho, obviously, a good guy. Must do well in marriage as well.
Yeah, good for him.
Talking about Hansulinho's draft here, he actually did have a pretty unique draft compared to other teams. He decided to go heavily on lefties. I believe he only had 6 righties on his entire team. And in this game, we mentioned having that opposite wing on the left side, having that righty on the left side for the one-handers is so crucial. He decided, hey, my 4th line, it's all lefties. So we'll see, especially in these later games, that might come to effect, and he won't be able to set up as many good chances with that line.
In fact, Hansulinho also has more players with a synergy activated on the roster. Let's get into synergies just a little bit here. Sage has 13, meanwhile, Hansulinho has 17. What about, it seemed like players were drafting more in terms of who the best available players were in the draft, but just talk a little bit about synergies and how they could possibly help a player's roster in this tournament.
Yeah, the thing about synergies, especially in this case, there were no team synergies, which are the biggest part of Hockey Ultimate Team. You aim to get that team synergy so every single player on the team is affected by it. In this one, it's only affecting players, and you need at least 4, some need 5, to get that synergy. So, in essence, a lot of these guys decided, hey, I'm just going to draft the best overall. If I happen to be able to get the synergies and get that +3, +3 speed, +3 wrist shot accuracy, whatever the case may be, they'd go for it. For most of the guys, it wasn't their key intention.
The skating speedster synergy, which is also attached to Connor McDavid, is activated on Hansulinho's roster, so Connor McDavid becomes even faster.
Yeah, he actually does become a 99 speed.
And there's a goal. Wait, hold the phone. Sage finally gets on the board.
Sage bouncing back, a little smile on his face. Okay. He's getting into his zone. Finally got a goal on the board. Maybe this will help him out, grab some momentum, and let's get back into this thing.
Talking back and forth a little bit about it, as if almost to say, let's have a look at this replay here. A shot from the point, I don't think Dubnyk saw it at all, so it might have been just a goal that neither of them sort of expected to go in. A shot from the point. Hey, Eki did it in the last game. Seeing shots from the point go in.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge screen on that one. I'm surprised it went through. Also, I'm surprised we haven't seen as much manual goalie, especially in warm-ups. We saw these guys controlling their goalies, even on those shots from the point, which you wouldn't expect. We'll see if maybe with these goals going in, they'll switch up the strategies and start controlling them a little bit more.
So Sage is the Anaheim Ducks. Ryan Getzlaf is his only Duck on the roster. And is also his captain on the roster, and it's good because he's 2-1 right now, and he needs more goals.
it looked as if he'd go out of that period down 2-0 without a goal again, but maybe, just maybe, a lifeline for him. He needs to win this game to Sage to have any chance of staying in this Gaming World Championship. Hansulinho had a bit of a shocked look on his face when he gave up a goal. We'll see, guys, what the second period brings.
Sage has the most amount of teams represented on his roster in this tournament. With 20 NHL teams, that's the most in Europe. He drafted his goaltender, Connor Hellebuck, in the 8th round. Among the higher rounds, goaltender was drafted in this regional draft, looking for that pasta one-timer, didn't get it. Larkin has it now. And this is important now. He's down by 1 in the second period. Plenty of time to try and get back into this game. His tournament life is on the line. Hansulinho needs one more win, then he will go to the semifinals. Here's Larkin. Larkin to Pasternak. He scores, ties it up. That was a beauty.
Yeah, setting up nice plays. Sage is getting back into his game. He was a little bit strung up there at the beginning. Hansulinho obviously getting on the board early, that goal within the first 30 seconds. But he's back. Sage on the move, and now we are tied at 2.
Talking about teams, in fact, Sage has said that other than his own team, which he does like from the regional draft, let's take a look at this highlight one more time. Just a beautiful, sure, flap the birds, why not? For a goal like that, Pasta makes it look easy as the game is tied at 2. He loves Hansulinho's roster, does Sage, as well, saying with the McDavid and Dubnyk in net combo, he just loves what Hansulinho's roster has to bring, and many players said that in this tournament, that Hansulinho has a very desirable roster, and that one will go off the iron. 20 of the 23 skaters in Sage's roster are synergy activated. So he is the most, the player that paid attention the most to synergies was Sage in this entire tournament. You got to wonder whether that's going to help him. Here's Spurgeon at the point for Sage. Sage back to the point, nobody there. Puck will go all the way back into his own zone and chase after it now. Collision, Spurgeon he's pinned up against the boards. Loses it. In a bad position, a save there. Looking for that wraparound was Hansulinho, but a breakout instead for Sage. Toffoli, a 2-on-1 brewing here. Loses it, though, and Mantha collects it. Mantha, the Detroit Red Wings, just like our Carly Johnston.
Did you see that there? Sage actually went with a manual goalie on just a regular wrist shot. It's not very often, especially when you're playing just random guys online. No one's going to do that. That is a very small detail. You wouldn't notice it unless you're really, really looking for it. Sage might have got scored on there, decided to make the save himself, and it got the job done.
Toffoli has the puck there. Dzingel misses the one-timer. He did mention that he uses manual goalie a lot in unorthodox situations that you wouldn't normally see an elite-level player use it. But he uses it almost exclusively. He said there's a delayed penalty on this call. It will be on Sage, but Hansulinho will protect the puck. Possible 2 penalties there? We'll have to wait and see. But, he scores! Hansulinho breaks the deadlock. It's 3-2 on the delayed penalty.
Wow, Sage actually went with a manual goalie behind the net. Even he was going for a wraparound, decided to control the manual goalie, and I'm not sure he ever actually got back in a position. That one-timer came across quickly and unfortunately wasn't able to make the save. Hansulinho taking the 3-2 lead.
Hansu very happy with that goal. As we take a look at it one more time, creating that space, especially with that 6th attacker on, with the delayed penalty. Sage reflecting right now. That was Nico Hischier with the tally. 3-2 with 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the second period. Hansulinho leading the series 1-0. There's Mika Zibanejad. Back to Chris Kreider. Teammates in the NHL and teammates here, just in a different uniform.
Hansulinho, you're going to notice one of the best L2 players in this game. When you skate backwards, it opens up space, a lot of creativity. He's doing it pretty much every time he enters the zone. He'll turn his back, try to trip up his opponent, and you can see it's starting to affect Sage. He's taking another penalty.
As we know from last year's tournament, many of these competitors are friends outside of Chell. Many of them became friends because of Chell, and it's often lonely at the top, at that elite level, when you are that good at a certain thing, especially at NHL 19. Particularly in Europe, there are very few off the iron there for Hansulinho. Very few competitors that you can really practice against, and he sure has it again for Hansulinho. In a bad position to Zibanejad, but Hellebuyck able to get in position there. Gallagher now trying to get out of his zone, but won't. Kopitar has it though, now out of the zone. Looking to dangle past, won't. The windmill doesn't work in that instance. Back comes Hischier to Ben. Jamie Benn has it, and a possible Zibanejad with a clear, looking for the one-hander, doesn't get it though. Hellebuyck makes the save. Oh, and a poor giveaway there by the goaltender. Back to Hansulinho, who will say thank you very much and continue with possession. And there's that L2 you were talking about there.
Yeah, he's crazy. As he goes across the middle there, you see him just spamming it back and forth. It's so hard to follow where he's going to go.
From the point, winds up, doesn't take the shot. McDavid scores! A 1T after the ballerina in the offensive zone.
The #1 pick coming in huge. We saw the goal early in this game. He came back, he did it again. And that one is partially on Sage. He decided to throw the puck out instead of freezing it for a whistle and never got the puck back. Hansulinho all over the zone. Very, very patient. Sets up a good one-timer. Players in this tournament mentioned that Sage makes that mistake constantly. Instead of freezing it, he throws it out. There's one instance already, and that could very well cost him this tournament.
Face-off won by Sage. He did pick two big centers in the regional draft first as he looks for an opening there. Almost had it right at the doorstep. Pasta's at the doorstep, still looking for that one-timer. Getzlaf with seconds to spare in the second period. A big 2-goal lead for Hansulinho. Going into the third period, he might have a couple seconds to add to it. A save by Hellebuyck as time expires.
The period started well for Sage, getting him back in this game, tying it at 2, but all Hansulinho late. 2 more goals to put himself up 4-2, just a period away from moving on. Sage has everything to play for in this third period.
Both of them actually drafted centers in the 1 and 2 spots. Kopitar and Getzlaf for Sage, and McDavid, of course, and Backstrom for Hansulinho. Third period is underway. Sage wins the faceoff, winning in the faceoff department in this entire game. A little bit of L2 for him there as well. There's Shea Weber at the point. Weber will pass it to Hedman, will make it through, but a pad save by Dubnyk. Dubnyk will cover up, and instead Carlson will get the puck. Here's Kreider to Connor. Mika Zibanejad crunched, gives away the puck. A poke check won't do it. Protecting the puck well to Larkin. Saved by Dubnyk. Still has it. Larkin again with the one-timer. Dubnyk swats it away. Zibanejad has it. Here's to Kreider now. Into the neutral zone. McDavid. 97's got it. Spinning around. Remember, that speed synergy adds to the already speediest player in the game. Just nothing seems to be working defensively for Sage right now against McDavid.
99 speed, good hands as well. This guy's not letting go of the puck. Sage has got to get more aggressive here if he wants to get this off him. He's going to be running out of time. Finally gets it off him. Good chance there by Hansulinho. He just can't get the puck.
And he was looking for that one-timer. You can tell that Sage is keeping his manually controlled defender in front of the net there. And that almost was an own goal. He's got to be more careful distributing the puck with his goaltender.
We mentioned it earlier. He already cost himself 1 goal. Does it again. It just goes inches by the goal line.
On the flip side of the coin, though, he's got to throw everything at Hansulinho right now. He only has 11 minutes and change to get back into this game. Otherwise, he's going home. And Hansulinho, with the experience factor on his side, knows exactly what to do in this kind of situation. And he has felt the pain of failure at this tournament last year.
You know Hansulinho's just going to take his time here. As we saw, he's just walking around the zone with McDavid. We might see him even call a timeout to get McDavid back on the ice so he can continue to do that for the last 10 minutes.
Behind the net is Hansulinho. Hansulinho just dancing with the puck. Sage does not have an answer to Hansulinho's puck possession in the offensive zone right now. It's almost like he's trying to play copycat with his offensive prowess, but he's got to work on that defense as well. Here's Chara at the point now. Chara dances through. Almost had a shot clear there. There's DeBrincat to Skinner. Skinner still has the puck. To Spurgeon at the point. Almost loses it. Spurgeon able to get away, almost created some space. Great defensive play by Hansulinho.
Hansulinho playing perfect defense all around, finding the lanes, and even when he gets a good chance, he has some open space. He just does a skill-based poke check, finds the lane, gets a stick on it, and no good shots are getting to the net.
There's big Dustin Byfuglien. Players definitely wanted to draft larger defensemen that can move. Dustin Byfuglien certainly fits that category. Hansulinho happy to have him on his team. Hansulinho, the Brent Burns of Chell. You might as well just throw that out there. Skating backwards across the blue line. Sage, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go, needs 2 goals to continue on to force this to a game 3. Here's Spurgeon now.
Beautiful poke check from Hansulinho. Every time there's a good chance, he's tying up players in front, getting sticks on the puck. It's really incredible to see.
The battle there won by Spurgeon. Only a minute left, though. What can he pull off here? Looks for the shot, doesn't get through. Dzingel had it there for a second in a great position, but instead, it's going to be Hansulinho bringing it forward. We'll dump the puck. There's McNabb. McNabb has it. Instead, it'll be given away. A breakaway for Hansulinho. Looks for the flip. A cheeky opportunity there. Hellebuck has it, though, and gives it away. Again, another goaltender gaffe. With 30 seconds to go. Sage, what can he do? To bring it to Tkachuk. Tkachuk, first time touching the puck in this game. At the point. Takes the shot. Oh, Tkachuk batted it out of the air, and it hits the iron. 15 seconds to go. DeBrincat. Dzingel misses the one-timer. And it looks like that will be it. Hansulinho will move on in this tournament. But to Sage's credit, he said, the biggest game is played in his head. It's tough to focus and not get rattled. Hansulinho certainly took him off of his game, but he said, I won't be sad if I lose. I'm proud to have qualified.
Yeah, really, you can't be mad with how Sage played here. He was down 2 in this game, fought back, tied it up at 2. Unfortunately, Hansulinho's offense and picture-perfect defense was too much to match.
All right, I want to talk a little bit more about L2 because, you know, for the casual fan watching, they might not know the impact that has. We saw it make a huge difference there, Nash. Maybe talk us through what that does and why it was such a big factor there for Hansulinho.
Yeah, L2 is a way to really get creative in this game. When you back skate, especially when you're entering the zone, it's really tough to find that space. You'll see those bone country hits. You'll see the poke checks. L2 is kind of the way to prevent people from doing that. Hansulinho, instead of trying to force bad passes across the middle, he uses L2 a lot. He'll go behind the net. He'll do what he needs to do to find that space.
Here, I'll show you an example of L2 right here. This is in slow motion, though.
All right, let's get to some highlights from that game. We'll see it actually effectively used by one of our players, Hansulinho, here against Sage.
What are you saying about my moves there?
A lot. And look, Sage, we know, needed to come out strong because he was the one down, but it was Connor McDavid, who is the best player in this game based on rating, making the difference in the start for Hansulinho, guys.
You made a really good point about the timeouts, Nasher. I really wonder how much ice time Connor McDavid is going to see for Hansulinho in this entire regional finals, because you could tell Connor McDavid was such a difference in this game. He had the puck a lot, but he was almost untouchable in a sense.
Yeah, and that's especially with Hansulinho's style, going into the zone, using the back skate quite a bit. He's able to do that just superbly with Connor McDavid. So I think we will see him try to call timeouts, especially in those dire moments towards the end of the game. And again, we just saw him set up perfect plays, creating space. He's perfectly patient. He's a great player, and we'll see if he can go far in this tournament.
Well, we know for sure he's moving on to one more round at the very least. A very similar situation for him, having done that last year, as we see the handshakes between the two players. Two very different players in terms of, again, facial hair and size, but two very different players in that one is going on, one is not. So there's Hansulinho, the first one through in the bottom half of the bracket, and he is standing by with our Carly Johnston in the Honda Road to the finals area. Carly.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with the winner, Hansulinho. So you had a better start this year than last year. Do you think it's because of your all-star lineup, or are you just that much better than last year?
I think both will be good for me, because McDavid is overpowered, but I think my game style is different than last year. I think it's better.
So next up, as you've advanced, you're either going to play Playmaker or Super Verta. What's it going to take for you to get that win and make it to Las Vegas?
I think it's going to be a Playmaker. He was here last year and he was almost going to the Vegas, but we got some tough games against Artuzio, but this year will be different. I think I have chances against Playmaker. He's a good young star, and I'm old. Birdie Burns, but I think it's going to be a tough game. Maybe game 3 is going to be, like, for me, overtime winner.
All right, last question. I heard you during the game chirping Sage. Do you like to keep it fun while you're playing?
Of course, that's what gaming is for, having fun.
All right, thanks so much. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing you play. Guys, back to you.